What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the madness. And it is mad right now because this deck, this super AgroSong win by turn 5 is mad. It is crazy how strong this deck can be because of cards like Lady, because of cards like Prince that you might not expect, but it makes the deck amazing. There's nothing like winning on turn 5. It is so exhilarating. So if you want to play a deck where your average game lasts 5 minutes max, then this might be the deck for you. All right. If you really enjoy aggro, then this is going to lead you to good places. I promise. I've had really good testing with it. My win rate is through the roof with it, and it's just doing really well. And it does well both on the play and on the draw. And of course, with that being said, like, it is still an aggro deck, so it still suffers on the draw, but it is good. You have to give it a try. I promise you won't be disappointed. But let's first talk about this big tournament coming up, Safarone Collectibles 5K. Okay, let me get my face out of the way so you can see all the graphics. This 5K is coming up over in Smyrna, Delaware. That people loved the 1K that turned into a 3K because of all the people that attended. The space was great. The food was good. Then the surrounding area, the host Angel is amazing, and everyone had a really good time. So Angel said, let's do a 5K. That's what people want. It's the biggest event that's in Delaware. Come and check it out, okay? It's going to be a really, really good time. The link will be in the description, all right? Now, let's check out the list. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the list, all right? So this is my Lady and her Prince, okay? This deck is just looking at speed, and there's some other variations that I have out there. I'll put the link in the description that focus more on a little bit more the control aspect. It runs things like the new Rhino, but with this, the emphasis that I'm putting on this list is just going fast. And if you try Rhino in this list, then you'll see that it does slow down the deck quite a bit. It does improve your matchup into some other matches, like it improves your on the draw win rate, but your on the play win rate will drop because you're top decking cards that just aren't as good. If you get it going in the beginning, it's awesome, but it can be a little rough. So this is what I've tested, and this is what's been working really well. And we'll talk about tech cards and things like that. But yeah, we'll talk about some of these cards, and we'll go a little bit more into specifics on some of these as well. But this is the core list right here. These are the cards that I've tested that I'm gonna be hard pressed to change any of these. Okay, I think it's like 47, maybe something like that. But these are the cards that just work really, really well. We have the Cindy, of course, the Cindy song package that is just so busted. You just can't argue with a Cindy on turn 1, double Daisy on turn 2, Strength of a Raging Fire there, Smee, and then you just go crazy. Purple decks just kind of almost auto lose. Let the Storm Rage on turn 2 against a Green Steel Diablo feels great. So the song package is just really good. Daisy, of course, being a 1/4/2. You don't care if they draw a character every single turn if you just win on turn 5. Like, it doesn't matter how many cards they draw when you're just winning, and she is just so hard to deal with. We got the Penny. Now, Penny, some people don't like that I have 4, and that's fine. This is my core list. You make it work how you want to make it work. But the thing I like about Penny is that resist +1 is huge. All right. Later in the game, Penny is an amazing just top deck because you can lay Penny down and then you can give the resist +1 to herself. So now she can't be taken out by like an Elsa, right? The 5-cost Elsa that exerts her. So they have to send 2 characters into Penny. You can give resist +1 to Daisy Duck going into a purple player's turn 3, and now they can't fox your Daisy Duck. There's just a lot of different things. Penny can heal Smee and give him resist +1, or give him resist +1 so he can trade into other Smees or Calhouns. There's just a lot of different things you can do with Penny, and the utility in an aggro list is a really big deal. Even if it's only utility for 4 or 5 turns, it really helps out. The Piglets questing for 3 is busted. Doc's drawing 2 cards and playing a character, phenomenal. Smee, of course, great Rapunzel value, and then also just doesn't even take damage if you have a Piglet down, trades well. Lady, though. Lady is amazing. I think we run 24 two drops in my list. So Lady is almost always going to be able to drop you another character. Between the two drops and the one drops, Lady just goes off. So normally you're dropping 4 lore worth of characters on turn 3, and it is just amazing. Lady is a phenomenally amazing card. Do not underestimate her. She is awesome. Lawrence in here, again, just really good Rapunzel value. Great target off the top deck later on. Helps you trade into Turnidogs if you really need to. Just Lawrence is just great. If there were cards from this core list that you wanted to cut, you just didn't agree with it, you could try Lawrence. Just remember, you do lose the Rapunzel value getting rid of Lawrence. So now your Rapunzel value is really only Daisy Duck and kind of Mr. Smee. So you'll need to fill that somewhere else. You could do something like Nala's maybe. And that could be an option. But we'll talk about some other things as well. Pete, Rapunzel, drawing cards is great. But let's move on. Let's talk about, this right here. And this right here are some cards that, well, you won't see it on. There we go. Okay, you do see it there. So these are the cards, because this is a recent change, but these are the cards that people question from the main list that they don't quite understand. And we've talked a lot about Penny, so I won't go any more into that. I love the utility of Penny, and questing for 2 is just amazing, all right? But Mr. Arrow, why Mr. Arrow? So the reason for him is because he still quests for 2, which is phenomenal, and he has resist +1. So now what happens is on the draw, we can drop a Daisy into a Mr. Arrow. And let's say we're against traditional Steel Song. If we're against traditional Steel Song, they're on the play probably going to go for the Cindy and the Let the Storm Rage On. Well, now that Let the Storm Rage On is just going to sit in their hand doing nothing. So they're stuck on this uninkable card that doesn't clear your Mr. Arrow. It doesn't clear your Daisy Duck. It's just a dead card that they were really hoping and needing card draw for, and hoping to banish one of your characters at the same time. So they might still have to use it, but it's not even going to banish one of your characters. In that resist +1, now he doesn't, it doesn't get banished by a Tipo, a Chernobog's followers, things like that. That originally I had the Lilo in here, the Lilo Escape Artist, but I found that Lilo Escape Artist just wasn't getting utilized as much as I liked her to. The games where she was coming back were very rare that I would actually use that ability. So I ultimately made that swap, and I've really liked it. I've really enjoyed it. That resist +1, the same as Penny, just really good. You can't argue with it. Meanwhile, we have the Prince, and this is the one I get the most questions about. Why are you running this uninkable 051? Don't you know you can just run Pluto? He's a 551, and he's inkable, and he's bodyguard, and he trades well. Yes, but he doesn't do any of that until turn 4. But the Prince, he's a 2-drop. And that is massive, because what happens is we can go Daisy. Well, let's jump ahead right here, actually. Look at this, right? Because you can go Daisy on 1, Piglet on 2, and then Lady on 3 plus Prince and Bodyguard. How many decks on the draw can answer Prince that easily, right? If you drop this, how many decks are going to be able to respond in time? How many decks can actually deal 5 damage with 1 character to take out the Prince? Let the Zeus, right, with Steel Song is one way to do it. But 1 character on turn 3, like, there's not a lot of decks that can handle that. You've got, if it's purple, blue purple, blurple, they can run Into the Unknown, and you sing that to take out the Prince. Thank you for the free ink. And you, like, that's awesome. And you also didn't play a character. Like, cool. It's the same thing, if not better for us. So this, like, the Prince is just amazing. Like, do not sit on him. You could play the inkable. You could play something like, there's the new 2-drop, right, from the 101 Dalmatians, whatever his name is. He's a 041 and he's inkable. But there's a massive difference between 4 health and having 5 health, and that's a fox. That's, like, there's so many things. 05 is not an easy card to answer. You can't even, you can't just, what are you gonna do? Like, Chernobog's followers plus Crab, but I don't, yeah, Prince, phenomenal. Do not sleep on him. He is in here for a reason. The list is named after him for a reason. He is so good. Rapunzel's Tower, this is definitely a tech option. I like Rapunzel's Tower. I'm down to only one, but it's just if for whatever reason, it just happens to be there whenever I need it. It makes great Rapunzel value. It allows you to save your characters against Steel Song or purple decks. It's really good against as well because those purple decks are looking to play those characters in trade, but then on turn 4, you play it, you move 2 characters into it, and now they can't even clear a Piglet that's a 2/5. Like it's so difficult. Now you can move Mr. Arrow and it becomes a 1/5 with resist +1. Your prince becomes a 0/8. And on top of this, now they're all phenomenal Rapunzel value. I was playing 2 for the longest time, and I think 2 is still perfectly fine as well. I just really wanted 4 Mr. Arrows. So I decided to try the Rapunzel's Tower. It hasn't been bad. Sometimes I miss it. I might go back, but yeah, it feels good, you know. And so that's the reason behind some of these more questionable calls. But let's move on. You saw this one earlier. This is just an example of a really good line, right? Where you go Daisy on 1, Smee on 2, and then Lady into Piglet. The reason that I like to, a lot of the time you'll see me play Smee before I play Piglet. And the reason for this is that sometimes your opponent may just ink their brawl, right? If it's against a red deck, they don't see anything, or maybe they're hold on to it because of Daisy. But the other reason is a lot of the time people will play something, they expect your Smee to take 1 damage, so they'll play something so they can get ready to take out that Smee when it takes the 1 damage. But now when you play a Piglet on turn 3, that Smee doesn't take the 1 damage, and that kind of messes up what they did. And they maybe they had a more optimal line, but they're like, okay, I need to get ready to take out Smee, so I'm going to play this character now instead of doing this later. And now because you play the Piglet, they can't take them out. So oftentimes my turn 2 won't be Piglet. Now there are some games where yes, it is. If I'm on the play, then I'm hard pressed to go Piglet first, or sorry, Smee first, because Piglet allows you to just get that extra health or extra lore, but it really depends on what my opponent is. And will they be able to punish Piglet versus punishing a Smee? Maybe they trade into a Smee, and now I can play my Piglet the next turn, and my Piglet's safe. So it's one of those things you have to figure it out while you're playing, but I definitely, if it's not something you do often, give it a try. See how your opponent responds to a Smee first over a Piglet first, and then watch their facial expression when you drop a Piglet the next turn and your Smee doesn't take any damage. And then we already talked about this line. This is probably my favorite line. Okay, Piglet could be any other 2-drop, but Piglet is just great questing for 3. But this ability to do this and then protect all of this lore with the prince, it's so hard to come back from. If you're a purple deck, you're probably not. Like, what are you gonna do at this point? If you're red purple, you could brawl the prince, but then you have to have a character down that can be able to take out one of these other characters. It's just rough. It is just so hard to come back from. So another really good line that's only able to be done because of the power of the prince. Next up, these are just some tech cards. I'm sure I missed some, but I just wanted to talk about some options. And, you know, shout out to this is a really cool idea. I really liked it. And good job. Chosen character gets +1 lore and it costs 1 ink. And it's just more reach. Yeah, if you've played a lot of aggro decks or a lot of Amber Steel, you'll find that a lot of the time you lose at 18 or 19. So now you could he ran 2 good jobs instead of 2 Mulans. And this allowed him to just get that extra reach where they're like, okay, he's only going to get to 18 lore next turn, so I have time to set this up and then clear his board on the next turn. And now Good Job just ruins that. Good Job says, well, good game, and so much for your planning. So, and it's an interesting one. I haven't tried it, but the idea is really good. I really like that idea where it's still like drawing a character, but it can just speed things up a little bit. And Good Job is actually the only way that you could win on turn 4. I think we definitely can't win on turn 4 without Good Job, but Good Job might allow us to win on turn 4. Next up, we have Lilo Escape Artist. I talked about this one a little bit earlier. I just found that it was rare that I was able to actually use her effect with good purpose. All right. And it's still a great card. There are a couple games that I only won because of Lilo Escape Artist. That ability to just keep bringing her back, bringing that character back on top of dropping another character at the same time. It's really good. It's really good. So give her a try. She was in there for the Mr. Arrows. So if you want to, because you'd rather play this beautiful, this beautiful alternate art, I'd say give it a try. And then the other one is Lilo Making a Wish. I haven't tested this at all. It's adding more uninkables to your deck. She's only a 1/1, so almost anything trades with her. But how many times have you played a purple steel player that maybe won because they played Maleficence, right? And Lilo is kind of doing the same thing. And don't know what I would trade for. Maybe the Mulans, because you're playing this uninkable on one as well, just like Daisy. So you could drop the Mulans for Lilos, and I think that could work as well. Just again, being more aggro. I Won't Give In is another interesting idea. A couple people have mentioned this. Braden called it a turn 4 dock, which I thought was kind of cool. What that means is that you could play Doc later on, and if you draw I Won't Give In, then you can use I Won't Give In to then bring Doc back to your hand and play Doc again. It's kind of like purple being able to bounce Doc, except you don't get the character on the board. But it doesn't have to just be Doc that you use it on. It could be that you use it on Piglet. Maybe your opponent's counting on your Smee getting banished the next turn for the one lore, so you bring back Piglet, your Smee gets to live. Awesome. You bring back a Smee that's a 3/3, so it doesn't get banished by Brawl and things like that. Awesome. So another card that has multiple lines because of the things that you could bring back with it. Not a bad card. Another tech option for sure. And then Rhino, we talked about this. You'd have to run the shift package. You can't just run Rhino. If I was to run Rhino, I would definitely cut the Mulans for the baby Rhino, and then I'd make room for the big Rhino somewhere. I don't know what that would look like off the top of my head. I do have it, like I said, I have another list. I'll probably throw it in I'll edit it in on this page so you guys can see what that other list looks like, and I'll put it in the description. But Rhino, just it's a card that's really good on the draw, right? And that's the big thing. If you're in an area with a lot of Cherna dogs, Rhino just runs over Cherna dogs. Like it literally, like he takes his hamster ball and literally just rolls right over them. Like it's wild because they can't banish him with anything. He clears all of their stuff. Like it's awesome. So, and then he can also just sing Let the Storm Rage On as well on turn 2. So that's pretty good. It catches green steel off. And there's other games where I've just won getting rhinos down because they can't clear the rhinos because it's essentially a 4/5/2, and that's just hard to handle. And a lot of your baby characters can't trade into them. So it's a good card. I definitely understand why a lot of people would really like it. But I think that's it. Next up is just altars. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use our wonderful, beautiful Dreamborn here, and I wanted to show this page so you guys can see. And what you do is you bring up the deck. Real quick, if you guys have never seen my Dreamborn, I always type up like chicken scratch for my notes. So if you guys are ever curious about changes, come check it out. All right, but you go over here to menu, you go to simulate, and then you click new game. And this is how you can kind of test your stuff when it wants to work. There we go. And you can kind of just test your lists and not test your list, but test your mulligans so you can get better because again, it should say altar actually, because it is called altar in Lorcana, but just test how it goes so you can get better at it because it's the most difficult part of the game and it's the thing that will separate you the most when you're going through things. So I think if we push F11, awesome. Okay, so this is our first list. We'll say we're blind, okay? So we're blind. We don't know who we're up against. We love seeing the Daisy. Don't really need strength. If I had a Cindy, I might be more opted to keep or might be more motivated to keep Cindy. But no Cindy. I'm not going to hard alter for a Cindy. So we'll take a Smee. We'll take the Prince. And probably this. Again, Lady is going to be great. Lady would be awesome. If I had Prince or if I had Lady right now, I would keep both of these. But right now, we have a good aggro start. I'd like to see a Lady maybe. Again, we're fast. We're on the play. We're blind. We might as well just go all in and see what we're up against. And this is a really good hand. Like this is phenomenal. This is exactly what we wanted, because what happens now is that we can play the daisy, right? So we ink the Lawrence, play the daisy. Turn two, we can opt to, depending on what they are, most likely though, because we're on the play, we can opt to just ink the Rapunzel and then play the Smee. And then we can go ahead and ink whatever we draw. At this point, I think we've drawn twice. So we ink whatever we drew. We play the lady and the penny and put resist +1 on the Smee. And we're just happy because next turn we're playing Doc. And that's pretty awesome. And now why did I ink the Rapunzel? I inked the Rapunzel because I have Doc. I know I'm going into that turn. I know that Smee's not going to take damage because Penny is giving him that resist +1, so he doesn't take that damage. So there's no Rapunzel value there. So it just feels good. This is a great hand. Again, when you're blind and you're aggro and you're on the play, just go for it. Go for all in. You're not the control deck. And when you're playing aggro, you control the game by being fast. Your opponent has to change their entire play style when you go Daisy, Smee, Lady, Penny, because they have to figure out how do I not lose before I can even play my cards. Okay? So that's how you control the game, by just being fast. Okay? So this is on the play blind. We'll do another on the play blind. So this is interesting. We have Cindy's and we know that we have 8 songs in our deck. So we could very easily try hard altering to get one of those songs. Do we need it though? That's the question. Again, it's a great way to control the game, but at the same time, we could also just go Daisy into Piglet into Penny. Like that's a pretty good line as well. So, but one of the nice things about this is Cindy is an inkable. So you could keep Cindy and Daisy, which we're going to do, because if you do draw a song, then you're pretty excited about that. So we can keep both of these. We can keep one Piglet because Piglet's great and Piglet's fast. We're on the play, so we're not worried about a fox on going into our Daisy the first time we quest. So looking at this, we're going all in. We're happy to see something like a Let the Storm Rage On. We're happy to see a lady. We're happy to see a prince. All right. Not great. Not the best hand in the world. We don't want to see 2 Let the Storm Rage On. That is a little rough. I did play around with a list that was running less Let the Storm Rage On, and like I went down to 3, and 3 felt pretty good, so you could try that. But with this hand, what I'm looking at doing here is turn 1, I'm going to ink the Rapunzel's Tower and play the I'm going to ink the Rapunzel's Tower for sure. That's always getting inked. And then I think I'm going to play the Cinderella. And the reason for this is you really need to get rid of these Let the Storm Rage On. And so you're just hoping they play a 1-drop. You're hoping that they don't skip their turn 1. Most likely they will, right? Because you don't want to play a 1-drop that can get banished by Let the Storm Rage on turn 1. But if you ink Cindy and play Daisy, that is a safe option as well. You could ink Cindy and play Daisy, right? So you have 2 ways to play this, and I think this is important to talk about. You could go the safer route. And the safer route, if you did, is to ink Cindy, play Daisy, or ink Piglet and play Daisy. And then depending on what your opponent does next, you can ink Rapunzel's Tower and play Cindy. So there's a lot of wow. The more I think about it, the more interesting this hand gets. Because the odds of drawing a 2-drop are really high by the time you can play Lady. But these 2 Let the Storm Rage Ons are going to just sit there and be stuck in your hand. So I think you have to ink Rapunzel's Tower and play Cindy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is tough. So I would play this in 2 different directions. And this is okay, this is what I would do is you could either play direction 1, and this is probably the more risky play, where you ink Rapunzel's Tower and you play the Cinderella. And what you're doing is you're hoping that they play a 1-drop. If you like Tipo, or I guess Tipo wouldn't come down till turn 2, so your turn 2 is going to be messy, but then you can at least use these. But if it's green steel, they're going to play Diablo most likely. If it's purple, they're going to play a 1-drop most likely. So I think you ink Rapunzel's Tower, play Cindy. And then turn 2, depending on what they've done, if they've played a 1-drop, you let the Storm Rage on. All right, easy peasy. You're home free now. The life is good. But if they didn't, then now you have to make a choice. Do you ink the lady to play the Piglet or the Daisy, or do you ink the Piglet to play the Daisy? Now, both options are not bad, right? And I think what you could do is go ahead and ink the Piglet to play the Daisy. Daisy's going to give you Rapunzel value. Daisy's going to give you a target for Let the Storm Rage on if you need it. So that doesn't feel bad either, because that gives you at least something for Let the Storm Rage on. So I think with a hand like this, that's probably the more optimal play. You ink Tower, play Cindy, ink Piglet, play Daisy. And now you've drawn twice, hopefully something, another 2-drop, and that's where you'll go with this. So one more time, because this was kind of all over the place. Ink Tower, play Cindy, ink Piglet, play Daisy. And I think that's how I would go. Let me know in the comments how you guys would have done this turn. So let's do blind on the draw. Now, what am I going to do different on the draw? When we're on the draw, we know, well, we're coming from behind, right? They're going to have time to set up, their different plays, things like that. So I want things that can survive, right? And blind's a little bit harder, because on the draw against Steel Song, I'm pretty happy with Mr. Arrow. That's a pretty good play. I always want a 1-drop. I'm always looking for a 1-drop. So I'm happy with Mulan. That gives me options to just kind of, play a little bit more risky if I really wanted to. But looking at this hand, we do have a 1, 2, 3 Rapunzel, and that feels pretty good. We could send back both of these, right? Because now we have a 1-drop that can save us if we get some bad uninkables, and then we go 2-drop, and then we go Lawrence. And then at this point, we can start questing with these, and maybe they take them out, so you could get the Rapunzel value off of Lawrence. So that could be a really good line. And ultimately, they're all inkables, so I think we just get rid of the uninkables. And yeah, this is fine. This is perfectly fine, because what can happen now is like I said, we ink. What do they play? Right? They play a card. We ink the Smee. We play the Mulan. Fine. We ink an arrow. We play the arrow. You could do arrow or Smee. It's completely up to you. Both are going to do pretty much the same thing. They both survive really well. Smee gives you Rapunzel value. But ultimately turn 3 is probably going to be our Lawrence, and then turn 4 is going to be our Rapunzel. So I'm really happy with this hand on the draw. It's characters that stay alive. I would have preferred to see a Daisy here. That would have been the icing on the cake, but ultimately it's characters that live, and that's what we want on the draw. So next one on the draw in blind. Oh, ooh, this is sexy. I think I'm just going to keep it. I think a hand like this, I'm just keeping it. And the reason for it is we don't have a song. So Cindy most likely won't do anything, but I have a 1-drop, and that makes me happy. And playing a Cindy might make them change what they want to do. So you play the Cindy, and then you ink a Smee, play Cindy. And then you have the option to play Smee or Arrow, depends on how you feel. Most likely you just play the Arrow, you play the Smee and you call it a day. And then you can go ahead and ink the other arrow, so ink Smee, play Cindy. Ink Arrow, play Smee, and then turn 3, you ink one of the inkables to play Lady and Prince and Bodyguard, and then you play Doc on the next turn. Like, this is great. This is a really good hand that we really like to see. I wouldn't alter anything, because it could get better, right? This hand could get better if we saw a song, but it's just not worth the risk. Like, in my opinion, like, let's say we got rid of Doc. Like, let's say we got rid of Doc and Mr. Arrow, and let's see what happens. Yeah, I mean, arguably gets better, right? Because we could go ahead and ink Cindy to play Daisy, and then ink Smee to play Smee, and then ink something to play Lady into Prince. So it got better, right? Shoot me in the foot, right? Like, what are the odds? But it did get better. So, hey, maybe sometimes with an aggro deck, you always just go all in, right? But let's talk about a couple more matches. We're looking at 29 minutes for this video. Um, let's talk about a couple more matches. Let's talk about Steel Song, traditional Steel Song on the play. Again, oh my goodness gracious. Prince? Like, traditional Steel Song on the play with a hand like this. Yeah, you're inking Mulan to play. Okay, I think we just get rid of these two. Like this is pretty good. Um if we yeah, this is awesome. I keep Mulan and Piglet because they're both inkables, and we really want inkables right now because we're keeping 3 uninkables. So we get rid of Prince and Strength of a Raging Fire, and we get 2 Oh my goodness gracious, even better. So this is, you couldn't ask for anything better. This is a wild. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna actually ink Piglet on turn 1. All right, stick with me. All right, I'm gonna ink Piglet on turn 1 and play Daisy. All right, and then turn 2 I'm going to ink a Mr. Arrow and play Daisy. And then turn 3 I'm going to ink one of my inkables and go Mr. Arrow Mulan. And at this point, I have 3 daisies down, Mr. Arrow, and a Mulan. Like it's disgusting because now to clear anything on our board other than a Mulan, they have to have either Strength of a Raging Fire or Zeus. And like, that's a lot. Now, if they have Rhino, it's gonna be a bad day, right? But their Rhino doesn't get going right away either, and like that's just the way it goes, right? That's the ultimate counter right now is Rhino, but like it is what it is. Their Rhino can only do so much because now they're not getting a singer down besides Rhino until turn 3, so you can still go super fast. And what would have made this better, like let's say they play Rhino on turn 1. If you had the Prince, Rhino has to sing Zeus, or it's taking 2 turns to get through Prince. Another reason that Prince is better than the 0-4 bodyguard. So let's talk about on the draw. I mean, on the draw, I'm gonna want this exact same thing, but let's look at it. Let's say Steel Song on the draw. So this is where it's interesting because as a Steel Song player, you really want to get Cindy down on turn 1 against an aggro deck. So you could go for the high roll. You could go for the high roll here, and you could keep the Cindy plus let the Storm Rage on. And if they don't start with Cindy, then you're looking really good, right? Because if let's say they start with a Robin Hood, but now see, so many decks right now are running Rhino, so I just don't think you can. I don't think you start there. You can do Mulan. You could. The problem is you have Lady plus Smee, which is really good. Penny plus Lady is really good. You could go Smee on 1 into Lady Penny on 2. So I don't want to get rid of Mulan because it's a 1-drop. I would, just because these 3 cards are so good, right? These 3 cards just work. Oh man, it froze. These 3 cards just work so well together. All right, technical difficulties. There we go. All right. So these 3 cards just work really well together. Smee, Lady, and Penny. So, oh, it changed. Okay. Well, oh, it altered them. Okay, cool. Well, there we go. So we got another Cindy back. We got another Prince back. This isn't awful. This is actually pretty good. You can ink the Cindy, play the Mulan, and get rid of the Prince. Most likely is what I would do here, because once you ink the Cindy, play Mulan, get rid of Prince. Turn 2, you ink Penny to play Smee. Turn 3, you play Lady and Penny. And that just feels really good. And you're off to a really good start at this point. They're going to if they don't have a Singer 4, there's a good chance you just win. All right. If they don't have the Cindy or the Singer 4, like that's just so much. That's so fast. So yeah, that's just what I would do in that route. And the crazy thing is when I talk about alters for this deck, it doesn't change a whole lot depending on your matchup. It's an aggro deck. Now, one thing to keep in mind, like call this the Q&A section of the video. One thing to keep in mind with this deck is even though it is an aggro deck, like this, you still have to respect that it is still a like if you make a mistake on turn one, you will lose the game. If you rush through it, there's no misplays allowed with this deck. Unlike most decks where you can misplay, but the game continues to go on, aggro is just over far too quickly. So you have to take your time. You do not rush through it. Your games are going to be fast enough. Take your time because lining up the right set of cards is really, really important. A lot of people, they really like to dog on aggro, but the thing is like it's a zero mistake deck. It really is a zero mistake deck because you play the wrong card on turn one when the when the game's decided by turn five. Like what is that going to do to you? So take your time, really work on it, figure out what altars work really well for you, and then really pay attention. Maybe you're so used to, okay, it's turn one, I have a one drop, so I ink a one drop to play a one drop. But what if you don't have a great three drop? What if you're like, my turn three is going to be Lawrence, or turn three is Pete. I'm happy with the turn three Pete. Well, if you wouldn't have inked that one drop, you could have gone Penny plus Mulan. And that is 3 lore instead of just 1 lore. And when you're playing aggro, oftentimes that's what you lose by. So take your time playing the deck, okay? That I can't stress it enough. So, ladies and gentlemen, with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if there's other things. I do want to show off this. You know, I'm currently working on it. It's not anything too crazy. A lot of it I talked in this video, but it's completely free. I'm not asking anything for this. It's just a lot of what I talked about in this video in written format. So you're more than welcome. The link will be in the description down below, and we're currently working on it. Slow down. Currently working on it, so don't expect a full thing yet, but it's coming together, you know? So, but ladies and gentlemen, with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and remember, above all else, nothing matters more than staying happy and healthy. And I'll see you guys next time, all right?